Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a very exciting video. This is going to be my, you guys just heard my chair, that's awesome. This is my draft analysis for my draft of UPC, season number 3, not to be confused with UPC, which I've been a part of in seasons past and seasons to come, spoilers. This is a league that was started by Fanbase, who I've known for a long time, and is a good friend. And he invited me to join this league for season number 3, and I was excited to accept his offer. And so we just recently did the draft, and I didn't really have much of a plan going in. Usually I like to plan out my whole drafts, and in fact I have a couple of mock drafts planned out. But this one was not based off of one of those mocks, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the minutes to come. But yeah, just an overview of the league. It's 12 teams. It's similar GBA rules. You get 11 Pokemon. You get to draft a Mega Pokemon. The rest of the Pokemon are put into different tiers based on their viability, and so on and so forth. And it's going to be on Showdown. I'm pretty sure level 100. Regarding Z moves, there's a lot of different leagues doing this in a lot of different ways. UPC is doing it in a way where you get to select 3 Pokemon that can use Z moves throughout the course of the season, and certain status Z moves are banned. So all of the +1 to all stats Z moves are banned, like Conversion and Happy Hour and Celebrate and things like that. I think moves such as Z Belly Drum are also banned. I'm definitely fine with that for now. It's kind of hard for us to get a gauge on how good some of these moves are going to be. So for the time being, we'll just go with the sort of less powerful status moves, and then all the coverage moves, which I think the coverage Z moves are all pretty excellent. It really makes it makes it a lot more difficult to prepare in team building. Not so much so, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so I haven't 100% decided which Pokemon I'm gonna get the Z moves at the time I'm recording this. I would have waited to record it until I figured that out, but I'm going to be traveling for the holidays very soon, and I'm not going to have access to this computer to do recording. So I think that's all of most of the logistics. There's going to be battles on Saturdays. Team builders, if I do them, are going to be going up on Fridays. I've traditionally done team builders, but I might just roll them in with the battle videos. I haven't decided, and I'm also not sure sort of what the rules are on that in this league, if team builders are required or not. But we'll see. In any case, I'm excited, and I really like this team that I've drafted. So with all that out of the way, let's talk about the Mons now. So I had the 10th overall pick out of 12, and there's a few Pokemon that are banned that are new, Pheromosa being one of them. Cortana was also banned, which I'm still not sure I'm 100% on board with. Because Cortana, for as strong and as fast as it does have some ridiculous weaknesses, such as its piss poor special defense. But in any case, a lot of Pokemon that went in picks 1 through 9 were new Pokemon like Tapu Lele, Tapu Koko, Buzzwole, things like that. And Celesteela is a Pokemon that was remaining at pick number 10. And this, honestly, more than Cortana, more than Tapu Lele, Celesteela is a Pokemon that I was not looking forward to having to face in leagues, so I decided that I would just go ahead and draft it, so that way nobody else could take it. If anybody's been playing OU or watching VGC, they know what this thing does. It's got ridiculous stats. It's got the same typing as Skarmory, so it only has a weakness to flying. Sorry, to electric and fire. It has a pretty interesting move pool, a good mix of physical and special moves. It has access to Leech Seed, and it's so hard to take down. So rather than deal with opposing Celesteelas, I decided I would just put it on my team so that nobody else could deal with it. It could be, and most people do run this defensively, but there are a lot of popular offensive sets with Autotomize and things like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing how I can use this. And we'll go into the season with one of the most powerful Mons, one of the most difficult to deal with Mons of the new generation, in my opinion. So I got my round 2 pick pretty quickly right after that. I think all of the Tapus at this point have been taken, except for Tapu Bulu. And so I knew that I had already drafted one of the best counters to Tapu Bulu, being Celesteela, because it's one of the few Pokemon that 4 times resists the Wood Hammer that's Grassy Terrain boosted. And that is, still decently viable. Like, there's Pokemon like Parasect that 4 times resist it, but obviously it's not tremendously viable. So I knew that if I took Tapu Bulu, it would be harder for opposing teams to deal with because I possess one of the best counters. So I decided to take Tapu Bulu. And anyone who has been paying attention, again, to the new metagame knows how hard this thing hits. Base 130 attack, that's on par, or nearly on par, with things like Salamence and Metagross. It's got a 120 base power Wood Hammer, and then that's boosted 1.5 times by the Grassy Terrain that it summons with its ability. And frequently you see this Pokemon with an item like Choice Band, and it just hits so hard. And the fact that the Grassy Terrain heals itself is also excellent because you get pseudo leftovers recovery without having to run leftovers. So that's really great. Tapu Bulu was a good pick for me as well because I knew that in the back of my mind I wanted, like, after I took Celesteela, I was like, okay, so what is Celesteela going to be, like, what's going to cover its weaknesses pretty well? Like, these next Pokemon cover its weaknesses pretty well. And I knew that Tapu Bulu supported all those Pokemon. So that's why I also, chose Tapu Bulu for those reasons. I feel like I got really good just defensive synergy, ability synergy, and things like that with these Pokemon up here. So with that said, the third Pokemon that I decided to take was Marowak. Marowak is immune to the electric attacks that Celesteela doesn't like, and it also resists the fire type attacks that Celesteela doesn't like. And Marowak on its own is just very good. This is another Pokemon that's like shot up in viability this generation. Like, obviously all the there's the very new Pokemon that are very powerful, like Tapu Bulu, Celesteela, and and things like Tapu Lele and Pheromosa and things like that are really viable in OU right now. Marowak's just completely come out of nowhere after being a PU Pokemon for a long time, and it's because its typing just is so good in OU. It remains to be seen if Marowak Alola is going to be as good in Counter League, because not every team is going to be packing Pheromosa and things like that in Counter League. But it still has the potential to be really powerful with the Thick Club item. It's got pretty good bulky stats, very good defense, and when you invest in special defense, it can take on Pokemon very well with that. It gets great moves. Boomerang and Flare Blitz and Shadow Bone are like just tremendous moves in terms of hitting neutrally or super effectively. It gets moves like Will-O-Wisp and Stealth Rock. So I knew that I wanted this as soon as I drafted Celesteela because it just takes on so many of the weaknesses. Next up is Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen is like one of the best Pokemon in Counter League, period. Is what I've learned just from watching Pokemon trainers like the Verd use it, and watching George, aka Sceptile MC, use it in the GBA. This thing just puts in so much work. It's got really nice bulky stats, and decent attack, like workable special attack. Obviously the attack and special attack are supported by the Sheer Force ability. So all the moves get an extra 30% boost that have secondary effects. So that's really nice. This has nice defensive synergy with Celesteela as well, like obviously being immune to electric. It doesn't resist the fire, unfortunately, but a lot of typings that Nidoqueen is weak to, such as Psychic, such as Ice, Celesteela can take on reasonably well. And then this thing has a great support move pool of its own, with Stealth Rock, Toxic Spikes. Home Claws is kind of a fun ability. We'll see if that gets used at all. It gets Pursuit, Sucker Punch, etc., etc. So the fact that this thing can be run both physical and special, be run both offensively and defensively, be run as a support and as an attacker, makes it just so good. And between Marowak and Nidoqueen both being weak to ground, having Tapu Bulu is great. Also, Celesteela is, obviously immune to ground, which is great. But the grassy terrain that Tapu Bulu sets up makes Earthquake, Magnitude, and Bulldoze all half power. So these things can potentially take Earthquakes quite a bit better than they otherwise would. So I really like that option to have that ability supporting Marowak and Nidoqueen. I'm sure that opponents will know that, and they'll adjust by running moves other than Earthquake. And that's another nice thing about taking Marowak. Like, Marowak has one of the best ground moves that's not Earthquake, being Boomerang. So that is not inhibited by grassy terrain, which is nice. So I'm not going to be hindering myself in that way. And also, I don't have to worry about other Marowaks using Boomerang because I have the only good Marowak. No one took Marowak normal, Marowak Kanto, if you will. So I really liked that synergy. So one of the things that I'm most weak to at the moment is water types, particularly Scald. And so that's why I took Vaporeon with my next pick, because it can really easily take that on. I'm also kind of weak to fire, and Vaporeon obviously doesn't mind fire moves. And Vaporeon is just a Pokemon that I've wanted to use for a long time because it's such a good glue. It can be made defensively bulky or especially bulky to counter just about anything you need it to, other than certain grass Pokemon and electric Pokemon. But otherwise, it could just tank hits. It can fire off Toxics, fire off Wishes, things like that. And you can say it's not the most offensive Pokemon, and that's for sure. But base 110 special attack is nothing to sneeze at. If you pack coverage that hits at least neutrally, or even super effectively on certain Pokemon, they can't abuse Vaporeon's passive nature with moves like Substitute. I'm always going to be able to break Substitutes with Vaporeon, or I'm 95% of the time going to be able to break Substitutes with Vaporeon. And again, just the combination of Scald and Ice Beam pretty much does the trick. It gets plenty of other nice coverage too. Shadow Ball, Signal Beam. It gets some Psychic moves too, I think. Maybe it's on the list of non-viable Pokemon moves. But anyway, so this is, I don't know if this is an exaggeration or not, but I think this is the best defensive core I've ever had. In terms of typing, in terms of stats, in terms of synergy of the abilities. The fact that Marowak can be immune to electric moves for Celesteela is awesome. Vaporeon is immune to water moves for the Nidoqueen and the Marowak. Tapu Bulu makes ground type moves weaker, or most ground type moves weaker for the Marowak and the Nidoqueen. It's just really, really nice, and I'm really excited about this. And one thing as well that I'll mention now, it'll come up when we talk about the next picks, but I also knew, looking at this core, that another Pokemon that would really support it well is Mega Latias. So in this league, Mega Latias and Mega Latios are allowed, and they do cost 40 extra points to draft. Usually the best Mega Pokemon don't cost any extra points, but they were allowed under that condition. So I set up the next part of my draft such that I could draft Mega Latias, because it's another excellent Scald resist. It's a great Wish passer. It has Healing Wish, great other moves like Calm Mind, Stored Power. Gets, I think, Cosmic Power as well, which is pretty awesome. I could be wrong on that. You don't even need Cosmic Power. Calm Mind plus Stored Power is so good. Gets Bolt Beam coverage, gets Sucker Punch, etc., etc. So it's not, I didn't take it next, but I also, when I had these 5 Mons, I was okay, the next Pokemon I want is Mega Latias. Nobody's gonna take it, most likely, because it's so expensive, but I know that I can make it work. I've used it in the past in other leagues, and it's just amazing. So how do I get to the point where I have extra points for Mega Latias? Let's go look at the next Pokemon that I have here. So we drafted Excelgor next. I was really, really, really hoping to draft Greninja here, because it's a nice fast attacker. It gets spikes, gets great coverage. I feel like Z-Move Greninja just has so much potential in this format. But my good friend Cloud Envy took it 2 picks before this Excelgor. So I was really mad. I was wishing I had waited on the Vaporeon. But, hindsight's always 20/20. The Vaporeon was really important for my defensive core. So anyway, since I couldn't get Greninja to serve as a fast Pokemon with spikes, I got Excelgor instead. This thing is even faster than Greninja at base 145. And while it doesn't have quite the coverage that Greninja does, it still has a good enough special attack to work with. And it gets awesome support moves like Final Gambit, Knockoff, etc. So I was going to get Greninja, like I said, but I went with Excelgor instead. Now, the other Pokemon that I was going to pair with Greninja was Masquerain, because Masquerain got some cool buffs this generation. I think it got a special attack boost, and it also got Quiver Dance. But I figured that without Greninja, the best thing to do would be to get Excelgor to be a pesky bug type, and then I could replace Greninja with another fast special attacker, being Zoroark. Zoroark I'm really looking forward to using, just because of the potential mind games, and I think it's going to be a real test of my skill to use this thing effectively. This thing just has such an amazing move pool on both the physical and special sides, and it's able to boost on the physical and special sides both with moves like Nasty Plot, as you can see, and also with Swords Dance. What'll be really amazing is if I can take advantage of these mismatches. I bring in a Pokemon such as Tapu Bulu on a water type, but surprise, it's not Tapu Bulu, it's Zoroark. And then I can anticipate their switch out and go for a Swords Dance, and then start spamming Sucker Punch, and things like that. It's gonna be really awesome, and obviously, great mixed attacking stats. Not as fast as Greninja, but it's gonna be fast enough to outspeed a lot of Pokemon, and Pokemon that it can't outspeed, we do have Sucker Punch for. I guess there's a few types that do resist Dark, being other Dark types, Fairy types, and Fighting types. Fighting types, I guess, are kind of a problem, but the nice thing about Fairy types is that there aren't that many that I can think of that naturally outspeed Zoroark, and any ones that are slower, I do have Sludge Bomb coverage for. So this is just going to be such a nice bond to use. I'm looking forward to it, and I think this ended up being a pretty good backup plan for losing out on Greninja. So next up, I knew, so I had to get 3 tier 5 Mons now to make it work out where I could draft Latias. And so I wanted up another Pokemon with Stealth Rock because I only had 2 Pokemon with Stealth Rock so far. And I also wanted a better flying check than what I had right now. I had Celesteela, which is good, but it's always good to have a backup. And so Rhydon was the pretty obvious choice. It's also nice to have Rhydon because Mega Pidgeot is a Pokemon that's in my division, so I'm going to be facing that twice a season, and Rhydon can take that on pretty well. Just give it full special defense investment, slap an Eviolite on it, and this thing is good to go, and it can OHKO back with a move like Rock Blast. So that's going to be really nice. Rhydon's also cool because it gets both Swords Dance and Rock Polish. So either double dance sets or just naked rock polish sets are really viable. And I also wanted to draft Rhydon too, just because it's been one of my favorite Pokemon for a long time, ever since Gen 1. And, Rhyperior is technically better. I guess it's got better stats, but Eviolite Rhydon is just as bulky, if not more bulky, I think. And I just like the design of Rhydon better than Rhyperior. I think Rhydon's a lot cooler. Maybe, again, it's just because of the nostalgia. But Rhydon's something I've always wanted to use. Next up was Hitmonchan. I didn't have a fighting type yet, and I also didn't have a Rapid Spinner. So Hitmonchan was a good pick out of Tier 5. I was hoping to maybe get Tier 4 Pokemon in Hitmontop to do that, because Hitmontop has the additional utility of Intimidate. But I had to take Excelgor with a Tier 4 pick, so that plan wasn't going to work out. So Hitmonchan was my backup plan. Great coverage, gets all the punching moves, and it's boosted by Iron Fist, so that's quite nice. And, it doesn't have the best stats in the world, but has, a workable attack stat, and a decent special defense stat. If this thing got Intimidate, it would be, a great Pokemon, I think. And, it can run Assault Vest pretty effectively. But yeah, it's really just for the coverage and for Rapid Spin that I wanted this thing, and just for a good fighting type. Fighting types are always useful to break down pesky steel types that you run into in League formats. Also, I have Manectric. Up to this point, I do not have a fast electric type on my team, and Manectric was the best Tier 5 option that I could identify. Other options I was considering were Electabuzz, Raichu, Zebstrika, but Manectric has more power than Electabuzz and Raichu, and also Zebstrika. There are all benefits to taking those other Pokemon as well. Like Electabuzz can run Eviolite for extra bulk. Raichu is a little bit faster, and Zebstrika is a lot faster. But I think just the combination of special attacking power plus the speed is what made Manectric desirable for me. It doesn't have a really wide move pool. It's basically just like Flamethrower, Signal Beam, and Volt Switch. Those are like the main moves. Obviously, like there are some nice moves in here: Thunderbolt, T-Wave, Toxic. Switcheroo is kind of convenient. So this thing isn't going to be doing a whole lot, but fast electric types are important in general because they're very threatening, and they're good revenge killers in League format. And so with that, like I said, I have my 3 Tier 5 Pokemon here, which allows me to draw off Mega Latias. This thing is going to be in the top 10 of the kill leaders, I can call it now, just because nothing can kill this thing. This thing has the most ridiculous stats of all time, just like so much physical defense, so much special defense, and the special attack is nothing to sneeze at. That is higher than what are some good examples? I have strong special attackers. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I can only think of like physical attackers and what their attack stats are. Like it's stronger than Volcarona, for example, in terms of its special attack stat. It can't run an item, unfortunately, which Volcarona can't. But this thing hits hard, even if it's unboosted. Like 316, that's more special attack than Exceligor is going to have if it's completely boosted. So that's really nice. And I mentioned that has a great support move pool. Defog is a move that I've been lacking on my team up to this point, which is really nice. It has Healing Wish, which is really convenient. I can use, it really synergizes with my defensive Pokemon. Like I could let them get worn down and then Healing Wish them back up. So this Pokemon is fantastic, and I can't wait to show it off. And yeah, so that is my team. And it's a team that I'm really excited to use. I've had lots of teams in the last 9 months or so for different Pokemon leagues. This is one of my bulkiest, but it's nice because it's not passive bulk. Like, for example, my UBC Season 3 team had a lot of bulk, but a lot of it was fairly passive and fairly slow. But, Pokemon like Marowak and Nidoqueen and Celesteela are not passive by any means. Those Pokemon come in and they are threats. And so it's the best bulky offensive team that I've ever had. I didn't have to sacrifice any speed in order to get that. I still have 4 Pokemon that are faster than base 100. I have Pokemon that have good boosting moves. I have Pokemon that can boost their speed. I've got good support. So overall, this team is going to be pretty excellent, and I'm quite excited. So if you've made it this far, thanks for all you guys for watching. There is going to be lots of content for this league coming out, and I encourage you guys to watch it. And I'll also encourage you guys to check out all the coaches that are in this league. And it's going to be a hell of a season. So try to do that pretty quickly because nobody really likes watching 40-minute videos for these sorts of drafts. And I also have places to be. So hope you guys liked this. If you did, make sure you check back to my channel for other Pokemon and gaming content. So, until the next time, I will see you all later.